What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to 303 Streets. Today I'm just going to give a quick review on the Nissan Rogue, where we're at with that. Do I still have the car, and if I don't, why? So essentially I don't have the car. That car ended up being way more of a hassle than what it was worth. So I had a 2017 Nissan Rogue all-wheel drive. For the most part, the car was pretty good. Never really had any issues with it. I feel like I kept up on the maintenance pretty well. I had 70,000 miles and the transmission went out. Completely went out, shot, ended up costing $7,000. So I ended up fixing it. And then I just, at that point, left a bad taste in my mouth. The car was paid off, which is what's annoying. The car was paid off. Again, it only had 70,000 miles and the transmission crapped out. So how can you tell if yours is about to crap out? So the crappy part about those cars is, with those transmissions, they're not really meant for mountain driving or anything with, higher altitude like Colorado, going to the mountains, which caused the car to have the transmission overheat. So it's mostly meant for like flat states. If you aren't going to the mountains or if you don't have like long drives and you're not taking it on road trips or anything like that, you might be fine, you might be okay with it. But in my experience, I like to go to the mountains. We live in Colorado, going up and down a lot, snowboarding, skiing, hunting, fishing, all that kind of stuff. So for me, it was just a bad experience. So the way I knew it started going out was I would, even in the city sometimes. So once I was on the highway doing a lot of driving, because I drive for work, as you know, I shoot a lot of these videos while I'm driving from site to site. So anyways, like I said, I'd be on the highway, I'd get off the highway, I'd be going a consistent 55, 65, and I'd get off the highway, hit a light, stop, the light would turn green, I'd try to accelerate and the car wouldn't move. And then eventually it would just like catch and kind of go. So it was a lot of like, I would try to accelerate and it wouldn't move. So I guess that's the car's defense mechanism for when the transmission starts to overheat. So that being said, it would do that a lot. So I took it into Nissan. It was under the factory warranty, Actually, it was like, so it was like 60,000 miles. Yeah, actually 60, not even 70, because it was still under the factory warranty. I ended up going over there saying, hey, this is what the transmission's doing. It's under warranty, check it out. I did it a few times and they go, oh, there's nothing we can do. We can't find anything wrong. We can't find anything wrong. There's nothing we can do. So I'm like, okay, that's really crappy because, it's causing a bunch of issues. So they kind of just blew me off. I will never buy another Nissan again with the amount of disrespect they had and how rude and inconsiderate they were, especially when I brought it in with, showing like, hey, it's having issues. How can you address this? So anyways, eventually one day we were going to the mountains. It was like a Labor Day or Memorial Day. I don't know. It was a holiday weekend. And of course there was lots of traffic, which was a terrible idea to go to the mountains on a Friday, on a holiday weekend. Stupid of us. So yeah, we were going up the mountain, lots of stop and go, and the car started doing that. So they say when it starts to do that, you need to pull over, sit on the side of the road for 15 to 20 minutes, and then you're good to go again. So, if you have time to do that every time the car starts acting up, great. If you don't, like normal people that, if you're trying to go somewhere, you want to be able to get there and have a reliable car, you're not going to stop. So, again, we were in stop and go traffic. It was just a disaster. So, halfway there, the car started doing that. I turned off the car, started it up again. The engine light would go back off, started going up the hill again. It would do it again. So I'm like, you know what? Screw it. We're turning around. We're going home. The car is acting up. The traffic's ridiculous. Let's go home. So we went up, ended up going home. The engine light wasn't going off. So I, got one of the readers, plugged it into the car, found out what was going on, and it was saying the transmission stuff. So I'm like, great. It's going out. Took it to Nissan, and they told me, well, it's going to be $7,000, blah, 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 so on and so forth. So I was very irritated because I said, I brought it to you with this problem before. I addressed it when it was under the warranty. I brought it to you and you didn't do anything, you blew me off. So you need to cover this, so on and so forth. They refused to do anything. So I gave them a horrible review and stuff, but paid for the car, got it fixed, you know, because you can't sell with the transmission going out. And yeah, at that point, I figured if that's the kind of transmission they put in the car, I'm not going to keep it. There's a very good chance that it's going to happen again. Or it could have been a chance that, you know, I just had a crappy transmission and it was luck of the draw. But yeah, so if you have one of these Rogues, I would highly, highly, highly recommend getting a trans cooler on it. So that's the problem, is these transmissions don't stay cool enough. And then when they get too hot, it goes into the defense mechanism of, you know, your acceleration won't catch when you're trying to go. So again, my review on this car, I would avoid it like the plague. I would stay away from this. And if you have one, do yourself a favor and spend $200 to $300 on a trans cooler and running it to the transmission, making sure you keep your transmission cool and avoid from overheating, because when it does go out, it's going to cost you about $7,000, because that's what it cost me. And again, I took it to Nissan, had an issue with Nissan, told them it when it was under warranty. They blew me off, said there's nothing they can do. Transmission went out a few months later. Then they said, oh, that's not under warranty, so we can't cover that, even though I brought it to them when it was under warranty with this issue. And they just blew me off. So I would, like I said, if you have a Nissan Rogue, highly recommend staying up on the maintenance. Highly recommend making sure you do your transmission fluid changes, your differential changes on schedule. With these cars, they're very unpredictable. And again, if Nissan knows that these these transmissions tend to overheat and have a very good chance of, you know, doing this, they should have, you know, tons and tons and tons of different preventatives from having this happen. So they should have trans coolers built in, but they don't. So I would highly recommend, if you have a Nissan, put a trans cooler on it, especially if you're like me and you drive quite a bit. Again, I'm driving, you know, 8 hours a day. Not a consistent 8 hours. You know, I drive to a site, go into it, leave, drive to another site, go into it, leave, but I'm consistently on the road. So if you drive a lot, I would highly recommend this is one of the vehicles that you get a trans cooler in, because it's just a matter of time before it starts happening to you. You know, some people love Nissans. I will avoid this one. I had a Nissan Titan. You know, again, it was pretty used, pretty beat up. Eventually, problem after problem after problem after problem. You know, same thing with this. Problem after problem after problem after problem. Mainly just the transmission. You know, spark plugs. All the maintenance is really easy on this car. Super easy to maintain. But I would highly recommend, if you're going to get one of these, do preventative actions and take preventative steps to make sure that your car doesn't overheat. So, like I said, I would highly recommend getting a trans cooler in one of these if you have one. $200 to $300 is better than spending $7,000 just to try to prevent it and make sure that your transmission stays cool. Especially, again, if you're driving it a lot and if you're going into the mountains or over a bunch of hills. You know, I would highly recommend that you get a trans cooler. So yeah, I had I posted a video and I had people ask, you know, hey, do you still have your Rogue? How is it holding up? You know, I did have it, but yeah, I ended up selling it after I fixed the transmission because I didn't want to risk it again, especially knowing that I drive a lot. There's no point in possibly having the transmission go out again. So yeah, you know, that's my review on it. I would just avoid the Nissan Rogue unless you're willing to put in a little money to make sure that, you know, your transmission stays cool. I would even upgrade your not intercooler, I don't know why I said intercooler, your radiator, just to make sure that keeps the engine cool. Any cooling upgrades I would do to the car, radiator, and I'd throw in a transmission cooler. So yeah, that's just my review, you know, on that car. I hope you found it helpful. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, leave them at the bottom. Or if you've had any bad experiences with your Rogue, or if you haven't had any bad experiences, I would love to know. Because again, this is kind of biased. This is just my opinion, and this is from the research I've done. This is what I found, that these Nissan Rogues have tons and tons of issues with the transmission overheating. So yeah, I hope you found this video helpful. Like, subscribe, and have a good day. Thank you for watching 303 Streets. Stay tuned for more videos to come. Thank you.